Because I have a dream that my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Dr. King once said, "Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others?" The humanitarians we honor today clearly understand Dr. King's call and are answering by making dramatic improvements in the lives of so many others. Today, we celebrate the content of their character.
Hello everyone, I'm Tamara Banks. Welcome to the 2020 Martin Luther King Jr. Business Awards as we honor 6 inspirational individuals and organizations in our community, as well as pay tribute to a civil rights pioneer, Bishop Asen Phillips, with the Trailblazer Award.
This year marks the 35th anniversary of this event. In 1986, 2 years after the passage of House Bill 1201 that established Dr. King's birthday as a holiday in Colorado, Mrs. Wilma J. Webb founded the Martin Luther King Jr. Business Social Responsibility Awards to give the business community an opportunity to honor the memory of Dr. King and reaffirm our commitment to the values he taught us. 5 years ago, the name of the award was shortened to the Martin Luther King Jr. Business Awards. A total of 247 individuals, corporations, and nonprofit organizations have received this meaningful award over the years. Today, we add 7 more names to this distinguished list. Whether as a physician, healthcare advocate, educator, or volunteer, Dr. Jandel Allen Davis seeks to improve impediments for marginalized community members while providing the inspiration and tools that foster achievement.
I've known I wanted to be a doctor since I was 11 years old. It was Marcus Welby and The Bold Ones and Hospital Center. I watched those television shows just religiously. So they were kind of my role models for how to be a good doctor.
Jandel is the president and CEO of Craig Hospital. Dr. Allen Davis is board certified in obstetrics and gynecology. She believes that the more engaged all community members are, the more vibrant and rich the community becomes.
There is data that shows that race and gender concordance increases adherence and compliance with medication, and also because there's this assumed level of trust because I can see you and me, they tell you more.
Her vibrancy draws others to the crusade. Jandel serves the boards of the Colorado Hospital Association, Economic Development Commission, National Jewish Hospital, Dartmouth Geisel School of Medicine, Denver Metro Chamber, and Denver Botanic Gardens, as well as other organizations that empower and advance Coloradans. Last January, Forbes magazine recognized Ball Corporation as one of America's best employers for diversity. Ball's management feels that diversity among individuals and teams helps to unleash ideas and fuel innovation.
It's a business imperative. It's no longer just the right thing to do. It's the best thing to do if you want to be successful as a business, as a corporation.
Primarily a manufacturing firm, Ball actively works to recruit underrepresented individuals in the field. They've created a pipeline for more diverse talent, developing relationships with organizations like the National Society of Black Engineers, the Society of Asian Scientists, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and the Society of Women Engineers. Building on its 139-year legacy of corporate citizenship, Ball Corporation donates nearly $5.5 million and thousands of volunteer hours to nonprofits around the world. In Colorado alone, Ball donated more than $1.7 million to local charities last year.
When the island of Puerto Rico was hit with that disastrous hurricane a few years back, Ball Corporation rallied with our ability to move product, water, in aluminum packaging to that island so that we could at least give some relief to the challenge of just having fresh, drinkable water for the citizens of Puerto Rico.
Founded in 1985 with a staff of 6, the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless now employs 650 and serves 20,000 people. The Colorado Coalition for the Homeless strives to combat homelessness through a combination of integrated healthcare, housing, employment, and supportive services.
When we started 35 years ago, we thought that homelessness was a temporary phenomenon and that we would basically work ourselves out of a job maybe in 5 years. Then 5 years later, we thought, well, maybe it's going to take another 5 years. And then we started realizing that the forces that were creating homelessness were much greater than our ability to affect them. So we started building institutions, building housing, building health centers that would last to serve the community, because we knew we weren't going to end homelessness very soon.
They've helped thousands of people and families leave the streets and shelters behind for new homes and opportunities. Although homelessness is still a harrowing issue in our community, the coalition is working diligently to find solutions for as many people as possible. The Colorado Coalition for the Homeless offers housing opportunities and support services to individuals and families facing homelessness. The Coalition's Stout Street Health Center provides a unique model of integrated health care targeted to the needs of homeless patients.
We've developed a philosophy of service around our mission of creating lasting solutions, recognizing that you don't end homelessness, you don't solve homelessness by just providing a shelter bed, providing a meal, or providing a Band-Aid on an issue.
And it now owns and manages more than 2,000 housing units. The Coalition's goal is to develop lasting solutions for each homeless person they serve. Dr. Nita Mosby Tyler is the chief catalyst and founder of the Equity Project, LLC, an organization that builds diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies.
I think it means that you remove any semblance of a process or a system or a procedure that makes people sacrifice parts of who they are just to be present. I think it means that whatever the diversity is, that there's space for it in the organization, and that it's not that individual's responsibility to make themselves fit, that the system itself holds itself responsible for making that okay.
She also founded the HR Shop, LLC, a boutique human resources firm that supports nonprofits and small businesses. As Senior Vice President and Chief Inclusion Officer for Children's Hospital in Colorado, Nita was the first African-American woman to hold that position in the hospital's 100-year history.
Quite a moment when you realize the shoulders that you're standing on to be in the place that you are, and what it represented in the organization to other people of color, to see a person of color, or a black woman in particular, in the executive suite was really a powerful experience for me.
She has a vast 32-year background in human resources, diversity and inclusion, and training in operations. Dr. Mosby Tyler holds a doctorate degree in organizational leadership from the University of Colorado at Boulder, a master's in management from Webster University, and a bachelor's in education from the University of Alabama. The mission of the Women's Bean Project, a Colorado nonprofit, is to change women's lives by providing stepping stones to self-sufficiency through social enterprise. The Women's Bean Project believes that all women have the power to transform their lives through employment.
We've certainly given hundreds and hundreds of women the opportunity to change their life because they've gotten the entree into employment.
They hire women who are chronically unemployed and offer them a job in dry food manufacturing designed to provide immediate income, support services, and life skills. The Women's Bean Project helps these women break the cycle of poverty.
Typically, women we hire haven't had a job longer than a year in their lifetime, though the average age is 39. So it's long histories of unemployment, sometimes incarceration, addiction. Perhaps she had her first child when she was a teen and maybe dropped out of school. So it's all of the things that we call barriers to employment. What we're trying to do is help the women overcome those barriers so that they can move to mainstream employment in the community.
In 2019, the Women's Bean Project celebrated its 30th anniversary. The organization has revenues of more than $2 million annually. Their products are sold in nearly 1,000 stores nationwide. For 97 years, John Yee made a positive impact on everyone he encountered. Soldiers, students, colleagues, friends and family, both in China and in Colorado. Born in China's Yunnan province during the lawless times of China's warlord era, young John didn't enjoy family security and safety. He made his way to Kunming, where he was raised by a British missionary couple who taught him loyalty, compassion, and a mastery of English. In 1940, John was recruited as an interpreter by the American Volunteer Group, also known as the Flying Tigers. After the war, he ended up at Fitzsimmons Medical Center for treatment from his war injuries.
During World War II, China had enlisted some American pilots and Chinese pilots to help the Japanese aggressors that were coming in. And John Yi, who, because he could speak English, helped translate some of the communications between the Chinese and American pilots, and so he became part also of the Flying Tigers.
Allowed to stay in the United States to continue his studies, he graduated from the University of Denver with a bachelor's and the University of Colorado with a master's.
For years and years, John Yi was the epitome of an Asian hero in our community, our small community in the Denver metro area.
Mr. Yi promoted friendship and goodwill between East and West throughout his long life, including establishing Kunming as Denver's sister city in 1985.
For most of our community, we're immigrants here, and needing somebody to kind of lead the way in how we communicate with non-immigrants, how we communicate with the school system, with any kind of authority here. He was kind of the leader of that.
In 2015, China awarded him the Military Affairs Medal, their equivalent to the Congressional Medal of Honor, for his defense of China with the Flying Tigers. Mr. Yi passed away on March 26, 2019.
He was very interested in a worldview. He was not the leader that would be standing out in front of a crowd and protesting. He was a very quiet man that really spoke to us through with an educated voice, okay, with a very knowledgeable, quiet voice. And that's what people remember him for.
In 2007, we began honoring pioneers in the civil rights movement with the Trailblazer Award. The 14th winner of this prestigious honor is Bishop Asen Phillips.
Born in 1935 in Hill House, Mississippi, Asen Phillips came to Denver in 1954, where he graduated from the University of Denver Olive School of Theology and Denver Seminary. After teaching in Denver public schools and working in child welfare with Pueblo County Social Services, Pastor Phillips joined the Universal New Birth Balm of Gilead Ministries in 2004, where he still serves. He married Emma Laquilla Phillips in May of 1958. While celebrating their honeymoon at the National Baptist Congress in Omaha, Nebraska in June, he first met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
I met Dr. King standing outside the Ministers' Fellowship, just two young preachers standing out and just talking. Didn't know who he was. He wasn't clear about who I was. But when the opening celebration and they were presenting him as a candidate to be vice president of the National Baptist Convention, and it blew my mind. I looked at my wife and said, my God, that's the young preacher I was talking to outside. And we'd already agreed to be friends. And from that day to the day he died, we were best of friends.
He served as a confidant and friend of Dr. King from that time until his assassination in Memphis in 1968. Dr. Phillips led a delegation of Black, white, Jewish, Muslim, and Catholic religious leaders, together with politicians and community activists, to march in Selma, Alabama with Dr. King. He crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge with Dr. King. He hosted Dr. King on each of his visits to Denver.
So when I look at this award, I look at someone who was willing to give his life to better other people's life. Much of my life has been up and down, conflict here, conflict there, but my decisions have always been based on what I learned from my friend. You don't get involved in a conflict because you think you can win it. You get involved because you know it's right.
Dr. King's memorable words of love, hope, and compassion have clearly stirred the souls of the humanitarians we honor today with the 2020 Martin Luther King Jr. Business Awards. We celebrate the content of their character and applaud their efforts to make life better for so many people in Colorado.
Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free.